Hey everyone, welcome to Area 616, and to the final day of Luke Cage week. Well, it's here guys, Luke Cage is on Netflix. I haven't watched it yet, but I'm about to die to. In honor of that, I thought it fitting to review the show Luke first made his MCU appearance in, Jessica Jones. Now, as I said in my Daredevil review, I had never heard of Jessica Jones before this show. I had no clue who she was, but at that point I'd seen Daredevil, so I had high hopes for Jessica Jones. Did it live up to my hype? Yeah, and actually in some ways it surpassed it. Jessica Jones is the story of a hard-drinking PI living in Hell's Kitchen, New York, the same place Daredevil lives, who has super strength and is struggling with extreme PTSD from a man named Kilgrave, who can control minds, who, without spoiling it, did horrible things to her. She had finally escaped him and thought he was gone forever, until he came back. So, like Daredevil, Jessica Jones is really quite an extraordinary show, but one that feels nothing like Daredevil, and that's a good thing. Everything from Jessica herself to her supporting cast to David Tennant's villain Kilgrave feels different, and it's all great at that. Krysten Ritter does a stellar job portraying Jessica Jones. She adds so many layers and manages to make you root for Jessica even though she's not the nicest of people sometimes. That's another thing that was almost kind of refreshing about Jessica Jones. She's not really a hero. Now, she is stopping the bad guy to save people, and also, yeah, I guess she kinda is, but if you watch the show, you'll know what I mean. She doesn't act like a hero at all. She isn't a crime-fighting vigilante, she's just trying to get rid of Kilgrave once and for all, so that he never hurts her or anyone else again. Speaking of Kilgrave, like Fisk, he is an incredible villain. David Tennant plays him with this perfect mixture of charm and absolute and pure evil, but at the same time, like Fisk, you understand him and sympathize with him. However, he never feels like a ripoff of Wilson Fisk. He's nothing like him, but he's still just as interesting as him, but somehow even more menacing. I really like how Marvel explores mind control. Even in the movies, they have a pretty realistic approach to it, actually. Movies typically depict mind control as you just control people, and then if they escape it, they're totally fine. But a recurring theme in the MCU is the psychological ramifications that would have on a person. But Jessica Jones definitely explores it the most and the best. For example, in Thor: The Dark World, we see that Erik Selvig has gone crazy after being controlled by Loki in the Avengers. And there are a couple of other instances, but the fact is, if someone took you and took over your mind and forced you to do things you didn't want to do, that would be extremely damaging. And the thing is, with Kilgrave, deep down his victims know they don't want to do it, but at the same time, they want to. They are filled with an uncontrollable desire to do it, to please him. Imagine being told to shoot and kill the people you love and wanting to do it, but then you have to realize and deal with what you've done. Not just with the fact that you've killed them, but also that at that moment, you wanted to. That would be incredibly traumatizing, and it's the kind of thing the show explores. In that fashion, it's incredibly dark, and in fact, it's arguably a darker show than Daredevil was. Daredevil was dark in terms of realistic crime and gruesome murders and the like, but Jessica Jones is dark in a psychological way. Because of that, a lot of times Jessica Jones is really like a horror show. There are a bunch of moments throughout the show where I remember audibly gasping, because I couldn't believe what just happened. As far as criticism go, well, there's not much to say. With Daredevil there was pacing issues, but with Jessica Jones there aren't really any. The only thing I can really think of is the fight scenes aren't very impressive, but the thing is, Jessica isn't the kind of character to resort to violence. So it really made sense that there weren't that many fight scenes, and when there were, they weren't really stylized. The fighting was less like a highly choreographed mixture of ninja moves and boxing, and more like people who have no idea how to fight. Jessica does much more pushing and throwing than punching and kicking. Jessica Jones has so many outlandish things in it. Super strength, unbreakable skin, mind control, super soldiers, but yet it feels extremely realistic, almost brutally realistic. The lighting is not stylized like Daredevil Season 1 was, and it's just what it is. Daredevil was brutal in terms of violence, but Jessica Jones is brutal in a much deeper and arguably more damaging way. What she goes through in this show is the definition of a living nightmare, which makes for an extremely compelling and tense drama. At the end of the day, I kind of like the first season of Daredevil better, but that has more to do with personal preferences than actual quality. In terms of writing and acting and pacing, Jessica Jones might actually be better than Daredevil in some ways. Either way, it's definitely a 5 out of 5 and definitely one of the best TV shows I've ever seen. But what do you think? Did you like Jessica Jones? Leave a comment letting me know. Thanks for watching. And though Luke Cage may be coming to an end, on Monday I will officially release my review of Luke Cage, so it's not completely over yet. But until then, make sure to watch Luke Cage on Netflix and avoid British men in purple suits.